I'm Jim Thompson, and I want to welcome you to this webinar. I am so glad that you are here because it means that you want to learn how to become more productive with the time that you have each and every day. In this webinar, I am going to teach you a system that will allow you to become more productive with the time that you have. I don't want you to panic when I say I'm going to teach you a system because, as you will learn, this is a very simple system. I know when I speak to most attorneys about systems, they sometimes get this glassy eyed look about them and think, I'm going to have to learn something new, write it all down, and then actually have to do it. Well, let me say from the beginning that this system is very simple, and I want to warn you, just because I say it's simple, it does not mean that you are not going to have to work at implementing it. This webinar basically is divided into two sections. The first section is where I'm going to teach you the system that will make your day more productive. And then in the second section, I'm going to show you 7 tips that will allow you to really become more productive. These are the time wasters that we all face, and I am going to share some of these with you and how you can avoid them. Hi, I'm Jim Thompson, and I want to welcome you to this webinar. I'm so glad you're here because it means that you want to learn how you can become more productive with your time. Now, I'm going to teach you a system that will allow you to become more productive with the time that you have each and every day. Now, when I say the word system, I don't want you to panic. It is a very simple system. I know many times when I mention the word system to attorneys, they get this kind of glassy eyed, faraway look and think, oh, I'm going to have to learn something very complicated, take the time to learn it, and put it into practice. Well, that's not the case here. This is going to be a very simple system that you can begin using right away. Now, I've divided this webinar into two sections. The first section, I'm going to teach you this system and how you can implement it. And in the second section, I'm going to share with you some tips on how you can get more done each day. Hi, I'm Jim Thompson, and I want to welcome you to this webinar. I am so glad that you are here because it means that you want to learn how to become more productive with the time that you have each and every day. Now, I'm going to teach you a system that will allow you to become more productive. Now, I don't want you to panic when I say I'm going to teach you a system because, as you will learn, this is a very simple system that you can put into place right away. Now, I know when I mentioned systems to attorneys, many attorneys give me this glassy-eyed, faraway look, thinking, oh no, now I've got to learn a very complicated way of doing things and then actually doing them, and I just don't have the time to do that. And when you see the system that I'm going to teach you, it is very simple. But I do want to let you know that even though it's simple, you are still going to have to work at implementing it. Now, the other thing I want to let you know is I've divided this webinar into two sections. The first section, we're going to talk about the system and how you can implement it. And the second part of the webinar, we're going to talk about some tips that I will share with you that will allow you to get more done each and every day. I know you've seen this slide come up and you're wondering to yourself, Jim, just what are you talking about? There are only 3 priorities that I need to know if I want to be successful in getting control of my time. Yes, that's true. And you will see as we go through this program just what these 3 priorities are and how they can make your day and your week and your month more productive. As I said, this is a very simple system. There are only 2 components that make up this system, and you probably are already using them in a different way, but already using them. Before I go any further, I think it's important that I tell you a little bit about myself and why I am doing this webinar. I was a trial lawyer for over 26 years, and after retiring, I began working with lawyers, teaching and coaching them on how to get more clients, specifically how to get more and better clients through referrals. Over the years, I talked to a number of lawyers from all over the country. Some were brand new lawyers, some had been in practice for quite a while, some were in firms, large firms, and some were solos. And just about every specialty was represented. As I was talking to these lawyers, basically they would tell me that, and not surprisingly, that they would get most of their new business by way of referrals. And when I asked them what they were doing to get referrals, quite frankly, most of them could not really give me a good answer. In fact, some of them told me they basically just hoped that they would get referrals from clients and other attorneys. They did nothing in particular to try and get them. It was very interesting to me that one of the most significant ways to grow your practice is by referrals, and it is treated almost as an afterthought rather than a priority. I have written 2 books on the subject of getting referrals. One talks about getting referrals from your clients, and the other talks about getting referrals from fellow lawyers. Why 2 books? To be perfectly frank, with lawyers you are very lucky in that you can get referrals from both your clients and from fellow attorneys, and there are very few other professions where that is possible. Think about it. Most, say, financial planners will not refer business to another financial planner, or an insurance agent will not refer business to another insurance agent. But with the legal profession, there are so many specialties and subspecialties, it's very easy to refer business to other attorneys. Now, here is the problem. In teaching lawyers how to get more and better referrals, it became very apparent to me that they would tell me, Jim, I like what you talk about. I like what you say. It's great stuff. But you know what? I really do not have the time to put in and do what you asked me to do as far as getting referrals. So it became very apparent to me that if I was going to be successful in teaching lawyers on how to get referrals, I had to figure out a way to convince them that they had the time to work on this. And thus was born over a period of time a system that, as I mentioned, it was very important that I develop a system so that the things that I was teaching lawyers, they could actually have the time to use them. And so I wanted to show them how they could be more productive. And I need to let you know that I did not come up with this system totally by myself. I was very fortunate that I had a number of connections with people that I could talk to them, find out what they've done, and go from there. And people like you'll see in this picture, John Maxwell, who's written numerous books on developing relationships, etc. Michael Gerber. Michael Gerber wrote the E-Myth, but he also wrote the E-Myth Attorney. Bob Berg, who wrote Endless Referrals. The lady there is Ha Tran, who was a Vietnam refugee who basically came to this country with nothing and built a successful coaching business and has one incredible story to tell. And the other slide there, or the other picture there, I'm not sure who I was talking to, but I want you to understand that everything I'm going to share with you is not Jim Thompson talking. It is a combination of a number of different thoughts that were presented to me, and I just was fortunate enough to be able to put them into a system, if you will. I want to be very transparent as to one of the reasons why I wanted to present this webinar at this time. I am about to launch an important new program centered on showing attorneys how they can get more clients through referrals. You will be getting more information on this program in the coming weeks. So before you will dismiss this program because you think you may not have the time, hopefully this webinar will show you how you can get that 1 or more hours a day so that you can participate in this program. I am really excited about the way that this program will be delivered. I realized that at this point in my career and being 73 years old, I needed to slow down and begin looking for ways that I could reach as many lawyers as possible and be effective without having to be physically present. I searched for and found a fantastic new platform on which I can deliver this program. You will be able to take the program at your convenience, and better yet, for you, this platform will allow me to deliver it at a very low cost. In fact, when I shared this program and cost with some lawyer friends of mine, they told me that I was crazy. They told me that for what I would be delivering, I should be charging 4 or 5 times more. Well, maybe at some point in the future, but for right now, my goal is to teach as many lawyers as possible. I encourage you to remain on this webinar to the end because I have an offer that I want to share with you. I want to share with you how you can participate in this program and get the first 2 lessons completely free. That way you can see what the program is all about, whether it would work for you, and decide then whether to continue. I am sure that some of you are wondering just what this number represents. And to be totally honest with you, before I really started studying time and being more productive, I would not have had any idea. But it is basically the number of minutes each of us have every single day. We all start out with the same and we end the day with the same number of minutes. The question is, how are you going to use those minutes? As attorneys, we have so many things that we must get done each day. So how are we going to get all of these done with the amount of time that we have each day? In addition to all of the other tasks that we need to accomplish during the day, we have to juggle our email, juggle our phones, juggle the administrative tasks that we have each day. We know what the problem is. But what is the solution? If if you are going to find a solution, you must have the right mindset. Part of having the right mindset is coming up with a plan for each day and also a plan for the week and also a plan for the month. But without a plan, you are forever going to be wasting a lot of time. So with everything that we have to do during the day, where or how do we begin to plan? The first step in beginning to plan is setting priorities. Earlier, I mentioned that there were only three priorities that attorneys need to be concerned with. Here are the three priorities, and it might come as a shock to you that there are only three, and here they are. That which can get you in trouble if you do not timely complete it, money, and your family and personal life. And I am going to separately go into each of these in detail. The very first priority, and probably the most important, as we'll discuss a little bit later, is doing that which can get you in trouble if you do not timely complete it. Now, you have a picture of a judge here, and if any of you have been trial lawyers, probably have seen a judge looking down on you like this, saying, "You didn't do what?" Now, if you've got a brief that's due, if you've got an order that's due, or if you have to file a lawsuit, you need to get that done. Now, you attorneys who do not practice before judges, you still have to get things done in a timely fashion, because if you've got an estate plan and you got your client coming in tomorrow to go over it and you don't have it done, well, you're going to get in trouble with that client. And anything else that you have to do and you don't get it done when you're supposed to, you're going to get in trouble. So that becomes your first priority, that which will get you in trouble if you do not timely complete it. The second priority is money, because without money, you are not going to be in business very long. I have taken the money aspect and have divided it into two separate and distinct areas. When it comes to money, the first thing that you need to be thinking of is billing your clients for the services that you have rendered. You would be surprised at how many attorneys I talk to do not have a regular system or plan for billing clients. And as a result, they always seem to come up short at the end of the month. So just as you have to pay your bills, you need to make sure that you get your bills out to the client so that they can pay their bill and thus you can stay in business. Now, one of the things that somebody mentioned to me, and I thought it was a really good idea, is, and again, this depends on the type of practice you have, but to bill your clients twice a month. If you bill your clients on the 15th of the month and on the 30th of the month, then you've got money coming in from that billing. You're not waiting a whole month to get paid. And the other thing that's really interesting is if you bill a client, say, on the 15th of the month, and the 30th rolls around and they haven't paid you, then you might want to be a little concerned about whether they're going to pay the rest of your bill as you continue to provide services. Now, this is the second component of money, and it basically is the marketing aspect. Because if you're not doing marketing, and I know lawyers do not like that word, but if you are not marketing, if you're not developing business, then guess what? You're not going to be in business very long. So you have to figure out a way of getting clients in your door and doing the work for them. So this is the second component of money. And marketing is crucial. And as we go along, I'm going to show you how you can probably fit marketing into your daily schedule. The third priority is your family or your personal relationships. And I know some of you are thinking, wait a minute, Jim, my family is the most important priority. I'm doing everything for my family. And I'm not talking about that. What I'm talking about is during your business day, your priority with regard to family should be specific things, such as you have a recital that you have to go to for your daughter, her piano recital, or their graduation from kindergarten, or one of those things that's very special. And I'm going to show you how you can plan those in your week so that you have time to do those and you're not running behind calling your spouse. Okay, here it is, the system. I know that you have been waiting with bated breath to find out exactly what I am going to tell you about this system that is so very simple. Well, in the next 10 to 12 minutes, I'm going to share with you exactly what this system is. So please pay very close attention because what I'm about to say may make or break you as far as being more productive with your time. There are only two tools that you will be using in this. Your to-do list. But this is no ordinary to-do list, as you will see. The second tool in your system is your appointment book or appointment calendar or whatever you may call it. Now, I mentioned that you probably are already using a to-do list and you're probably already using an appointment calendar, and that is fine. Basically, it's how you are going to be using them That is the important point here. Now, I do need to stop for just a minute, and I want to make something just very perfectly clear, and that I'm showing you this to-do list and this appointment calendar merely for purposes of illustration, because I am aware that many of you have different systems that you use for keeping track of what you're supposed to be doing during the day and your appointments and things of this nature. And if they are working for you, that's totally fine. I don't want to change anything if something is working for you. What I really want to get across is not the specific tools, but how these tools are being used. And you can use these with your system that you're using, even if it's not quite illustrated here. But the point again is it's how they are used is the real key, and we're going to go into that in a lot of detail. Okay, now what we have here is your to-do list side by side along with your appointment calendar. And don't pay attention to what's actually on the to-do list, because that really doesn't matter at this particular point. But we now are going to combine these two. I'm going to show you how it's done, and this is really going to be the key to the way we use this system to get you more productive time during the day. Now, what we have here is just a page out of the appointment book, and then the next slide in this to-do list, you'll see on the left-hand side where it says priority, and basically what I've done is gone through and listed the items, and I know you can't see the specific items that I've listed there, but what I've done is taken, and where I have an item that I know, and I just label it a T for trouble, I go ahead and I put that under the priority. And then I got another T and another T, and then I got an M there, which is for money, and that basically could be a number of different things, and then another T and another T, and etc., and then an F and a P for the family/personal. This is how you're going to keep your to-do list from now on. You're going to set a priority for each of the items on your to-do list. Instead of just having a to-do list and doing the items as they come up, you are going to actually think about what priority they are and where you want to place them. Now, one of the things that so many people do, and I've done this, and is when we have a to-do list, we like going through and checking off items and as they come up. And a lot of times we check off items just so that we can say we've accomplished something, and we really don't give any thought to what those items represent or what priority those items are. So from now on, I want you to be thinking of, when you have your to-do list, setting a priority using the 3 priorities that I mentioned. And again, just stay with those 3. And if you don't know where something fits, then think about it. Really give it some thought. If you don't know where it fits, it probably does not fit in one of those 3 priorities, quite frankly. But in any event, you are the one that's going to make the determination of what is a T, what is an M, what is an F or a P. But again, that is the key. That listing of the priorities is where it all is going to focus. So now I've laid the to-do list with the various priority items alongside the 2 pages or the 1 page for the Monday and Tuesday. And what I'm going to do there is now take my T items first, because those are probably the most important. And those are the ones, as I've said, that are going to get you in trouble. And I'm going to transfer those items into the 2 pages that are over there. Now, I don't know whether you can see this, but one of the things that I will share with you is on the 8 to 9 hour, I've written in marketing. And the reason I did that is marketing doesn't get done unless you have a specific time frame for it, a time slot for it. And probably the best time to do it would be early in the morning, 8 to 9, when nothing has really started happening in your office, or maybe from 7:30 to 8:30. You can do marketing. There's a lot of things you can be doing, and not really for this webinar, but there's a lot of things you can be doing marketing-wise in that early morning hour. And again, if you set a specific time to do your marketing, then you'll probably get it done. Now, obviously, there's going to be things that come up that you can't get it done, but it's there and you can see it and it's on your mind so that you're going back to it. If you never put it into your daily schedule, then obviously you're not going to really get it done. And I've put in a couple of slots, and I'm going to talk about this a little more specifically when we talk about some of the hints and tips that I'm going to be able to give you. But I would suggest that at a certain time, and you're going to be the one that judges this, you return phone calls. Say you return phone calls from 11 to noon or 11:30 to noon. Say you return your emails from 1 to 2 or whatever works for you. But I want you to think about, and we'll talk about this in more detail when we get into the tips area, of taking a specific time to return phone calls, a specific time to read emails and respond to emails. So having said that, now those I've already set up on the schedule. So now I'm going to take my first T item, and it's I know you can't see it, but it's draft a lawsuit. So where do I put that? Well, I got to figure out how important is that. There's 3 or 4 T items on that list, and you're also going to probably have to set priorities as far as the T items go as to when you get them done, because some T items are there. You've written them on your to-do list, but it's an item that you're going to have to get done. But maybe it's not an item you have to get done on Monday. Maybe you can push it over to Tuesday or even over to Wednesday, that type of thing. But you are starting to think, and this is what I really want to get across to you, you are starting to think of what items are priority items, and those are the items that you're going to be able to get done during the day. And it's also going to free up a lot of other time that you normally would probably, and believe me, I've been there, be wasting because you don't have a set schedule to do something. Now, what I really want you to concentrate on, and I want you to really think about, what we have just done. And what we have just done is set appointments with ourselves. Now, if you take nothing else away from this webinar, I want you to consider to set appointments with yourself. And when you start doing that, then you're going to find that you have a lot more time in the day because you have set specific things that you want to get accomplished, and you're going to get those accomplished. Okay, I want to say it one more time, and the real key to this total system is making an appointment with yourself with the 3 priority items we've talked about. Okay, now for a real quick recap. There are only 3 priorities that you need to concern yourself with. And once again, these are, number 1, those things that can get you in trouble if you don't timely complete them. Number 2 is money, money so that you can. And again, there are only 2 tools that you need to be using. And these are your to-do list and your appointment book. And again, these are just specifically for illustration, but you can use whatever works for you as far as a to-do list and also as an appointment calendar that you keep. Okay, one more time. The key to everything we've talked about is making an appointment with yourself. And I know, and I really want to share with you, I know this is going to be difficult. You're not automatically going to pick up this system and start, tomorrow or the next day and say, okay, this is really working for me. It's going to take a lot of effort on your part to specifically sit down, do your to-do list, plan on your to-do list what are your priority items, and then set those in your appointment book, making an appointment with yourself. Okay, this slide is very self-explanatory. I've given you a number of ideas that you can use, but obviously the ideas that we've talked about are not going to bring you success. The only thing that's going to bring you success is taking action. And again, you take it in little chunks. Don't all of a sudden sit down and say, okay, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to plan my whole week and this is how I'm going to do it. No, plan each day. Plan each day and think about your to-do list. What is a T item? What is an M item? What is an F/P item? And begin slow. Start tomorrow and begin slow. Look at your to-do list right now and say, okay, what's on my to-do list? What is a T item? What is an M item? And what is a family or personal item? And then take those items and put them into your appointment book. And there he is, the time bandit, the bandit that steals our productive time. And we know exactly what he does. And what we want to be able to do is protect ourselves from him or her. So what I want to do now is give you some tips that will help you be more productive and also to thwart this time bandit. As I was preparing this webinar, I came across something and I put it in the form, or it came up in the form of a pop quiz. But I want to share something with you because I didn't know this. But they have done studies upon studies, obviously, and they have concluded, Harvard and all these other folks that study this stuff have concluded that it takes about 20 minutes to get back to where you were before you were interrupted. This is on an average. Now, it depends on obviously how long that interruption was for and a number of other things. But when they studied it, it said on average it takes about 20 minutes. So if you're interrupted every 20 minutes, at the end of the day, you may not have accomplished anything. Think about that. Well, we all know during the day that we are interrupted, and depending on the size of the office and a number of other things, obviously, but there's going to be interruptions. Our coworkers are going to come in and say, "How did you like the ball game last night?" or "How did you like this?" We're going to have our secretary or our paralegal come in, and they're going to disturb you. They're going to interrupt you, and we are victims of that. So what we need to do is think about how can we keep people from interrupting us. And one of the things I think you really need to concentrate on is letting people know that, say, when your door is closed, nobody is to interrupt you. Nobody is to come in. Um, Maybe put a sign on your door like it says, "Do not disturb." Really, don't disturb. And get that word out to people. Keep your door open when you can, take interruptions or have people come in. But let people know that when your door is closed, you are working on something that you have to get done. Same thing goes with your secretary. Let your secretary know that if somebody comes in and they want to see you, your secretary has to let them know, no, he cannot be disturbed. I think this slide pretty much says it all. We either love the telephone or we hate them. Obviously, we love them because it brings us business, but we hate them because the clients and everybody else keeps interrupting us and we've got to return phone calls. Now, I think most of you know the biggest bar complaint is that lawyers do not return phone calls. And this is one of the things I think, and this is some of the things I want to share with you that I've heard. You probably need to educate your clients on how you are going to return phone calls. And what do I mean by this? Well, some of the people that I've listened to lately, and these are some of the people that have pretty good law practices, they tell their clients, "John, I return my phone calls at 11:30 to noon or 4:30 to 5 or whatever it happens to be, but you set a specific schedule as to when you're going to return phone calls." Now, you also have to educate your client that, you know, when I don't return a phone call right away to you, that simply means that I am working on a matter for a client, that my total concentration is on that particular matter. Now, John, wouldn't you want me, when I'm working on your matter, to give it my total concentration rather than being interrupted with having to return or take a phone call? And I think if you share that with most of your clients, they will agree with you. So make sure that you have a policy that when you're engaging in a client is engaging you, let them know what the parameters are as far as getting in touch with you. Let them know that perhaps if they call in and they got a question, maybe your paralegal or your secretary can answer that question, and if they can, they will be calling you back. So again, let your client know, and you'll live a much better life, quite frankly. And here we have the second biggest intrusion in our life, and that is email. Obviously, the old "you've got mail." I don't even know whether that's still around, but we've got the Bing, and we have this natural impulse that every time we hear that Bing, we got to take a look and see who sent us an email. And it's going to take a lot of effort on your part. In fact, probably turn your email off when you're working on matters. And when you're going to read your email, go through the email that you feel that you have to read, and if it requires a response, respond to it right then and there. I know I've seen people get on email, and I've done this myself. I've gotten on email, and all of a sudden an hour has gone by, and I played around and I've written to somebody and this type of thing. But when you are in your office, you have to be very conscious of your time and the time waster that email can be. Again, like with phone calls, set a time for yourself that you're going to check email and return emails. It might be 11 to 11:30. It might be 2 to 2:30. Whatever you feel comfortable doing. You may want to return your or look at your emails and return them 3 times during the day, but set a specific schedule so that you know that at 1:30 you're going to be looking at your email, going through them real quick, and at 2 o'clock you're closing down. Again, this is going to save you a lot of time. You know, there are times when you've got a project or something going on that you simply cannot stay in your office and get done. You've got to get out of your office. And nice thing about the way things are today, you can take your laptop with you and you've got all your files and pretty much everything. But find a place where you can go that's private. It might be the public library. I know many attorneys will go to the public library that's near them. They probably won't go to the law library because they'll see some of their buddies and they'll start talking, etc. But go to a public library, or if you've got a friend and preferably maybe not an attorney friend, that has, say, an extra office or a conference room in their office suites, see if you can set an arrangement. Well, every once in a while, you need to go and just use their conference room, but let them know, hey, anytime you need to get away, come on over and see us, and we can reciprocate. I kind of like this slide for a couple of reasons, but I guess I should tell on myself, this is kind of what my office at times look like. And if you've been a trial attorney or just got a whole bunch of things going on, you got files scattered, you know where things are, you think, but you got files over against this wall, file against that wall, Post-it notes and everything else. My point is, get yourself organized. If you think about it, how much time does it take you to find a particular document? How much time do you waste when you cannot get to a particular file? Or when you've got to sign on to your computer and look for something, does it take 5 minutes or 10 minutes? And if you get, say 4 or 5 or 6 of those things a day, you may be wasting an hour and maybe even more time. So if you can't organize yourself, there are people out there, there are services out there that will help you get organized. And it may take a while for them to dig into it, if you will, and get you organized. And then they may need to work with you to keep you organized. But believe me, the time and money you spend with those folks are going to be well worth it. Okay, I'm not encouraging you to start working out and going to the gym, etc. But what I am encouraging you to do is to think about getting an accountability partner, someone that is working on the same thing you are working on. And I know when I teach my Get More Clients and More Referrals Now programs, I want the people that are on the program to bring in an accountability partner, because if you have somebody looking over your shoulder, that person's going to encourage you. And the same thing, you're going to be encouraging that person. So think about if you want to really start working on time productivity management, get yourself a partner and share this, what we've talked about, this program, share this with that person and see if you can work on something together. And I think if you do something like that, you are going to find that it is so very helpful and you're going to get so much more accomplished. So the question here is, when is the best time to get started and start developing a time productivity system for yourself? Well, as the Chinese proverb goes, when is the best time to plant a tree? 20 years ago. When is the second best time? Right now. When would have been the best time to start your productivity, time productivity program? Maybe 10 years ago, or 5 years ago, or last year, whenever, depending on when you started to practice the law. But when is the second best time? Right now. So start thinking in terms of, what are you going to do to start a time productivity program? What are the steps you're going to take? And if you need any help, shoot me an email. I will be glad to send you some more information, or if a replay of these slides would help, I would be glad to send those to you. I think that this slide pretty much says it all. If you wait for perfection, if you say you're going to start when you get everything perfected and you get all the kinks worked out of whatever you want to do, and then you're going to start, you will never get started. It's like me doing this webinar. It's taking me a while to kind of put this together, and I wanted it to be perfect, and I know that it's not, and it'll get better as we go along, and I'll work out some of the bugs and things of that nature. But the important thing is I started it, and it's out there, and now I can make it better. So hopefully you'll take that advice and start on your system. Start right now. Don't wait. Don't wait till it's perfect, because it's never going to be perfect. And start it and see how much more productive you can be. I want to introduce you to Bentley. Bentley is the newest member of our company, and he comes to us, quite frankly, at a very high salary. He is a Chicago lawyer who is well versed in marketing, in business practices, and he is going to be sharing his knowledge with you on a weekly basis. Now, some of the things he'll put out in an email may or may not apply to you and your practice, and he's going to try and in the body, or in the heading, if you will, of the email, let you know what is in there, so that if it pertains to you, fine. If not, you can go ahead and skip it. So please watch for Bentley. I think you'll find that what he is going to be sharing will be very helpful to you in your practice of law. The other thing I want to share with you is, in the next few days, please watch for an email from me where I will share with you what we are going to be doing in this new program that we are going to be sharing and letting you in on. It's going to be a program that will show you how you can get more and better referrals right now. So please watch for that email, and we will be in contact. Thank you for listening to this webinar, and I hope that you found value in it. And if you found value in it, let me know. And if you think that any of your fellow lawyers could use this information, please let me know, and I will put them on the list and share that with them. Thanks again, and have a great day.